Super Wild Card weekend kicks off on Saturday with a captivating AFC doubleheader. The Las Vegas Raiders, fresh off an overtime thriller against the Chargers, made the playoffs for just the second time in the past 19 years and will mark the first postseason appearance for Derek Carr. And although they'll have a short week and travel to Cincy to take on the Bengals, this team has proven they can thrive under adversity with 6 walk-off wins this season, the most since the NFL merger.
It feels cool, it's awesome, but our goals, this is one of them, but there was more after that too. We're excited, and we got to play a team that already beat us, so it's going to be tough.
For the Bengals, this is their first postseason appearance since the 2015 campaign, with their last playoff win coming over 3 decades ago. But it's a new era in Cincinnati with the potent combination of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. The Bengals are capable of going toe-to-toe with anyone in the AFC.
We've got a long ways to go and a lot of potential here, and we haven't even reached it yet.
In the nightcap, AFC East rivals, the Buffalo Bills and New England Patriots will meet for the 3rd time in Orchard Park in front of what is sure to be a raucous crowd. The Patriots come to the playoffs in a bit of a slide, having dropped 3 out of their past 4, but as always, it's task at hand in Foxborough.
Start playing Coach well. It's a 1-game season. It's no big mystery.
The Bills are coming into the postseason winners of 4 straight, including a double-digit win in New England in Week 16. But they're well aware that every matchup with the Patriots has a life of its own and will need to be on their A game to advance.
With the knowledge that we've gained over the last couple of years, obviously, like I said, I keep saying this, the main goal is to win the Super Bowl.
Who will rise to the occasion and take a step closer to reaching the Super Bowl? Super Wild Card weekend is about to get underway.
Yes, it is Super Wild Card weekend, one that for the first time will have a playoff game played on Monday. It does start Saturday with the Raiders and Bengals from Paul Brown Stadium. Let's bring in 2/3 of the Pick 6 podcast, Brinson and Ryan Wilson. And gentlemen, let's focus first on the AFC. I mentioned Vegas and Cincy. There's also Patriots and Bills, round 3 from Orchard Park, New York. And the Steelers at KC having been demolished there in Week 15. So what is the top AFC wager from Super Wild Card weekend? Ryan, we'll start with you.
Jim, as a Steelers homer, I take umbrage at the fact that you said they got demolished. They only lost by 26. They were only down 30-0 late in that game. Big Ben's retirement party starts on Sunday night. Let's be official about that. But the game I'm looking at is the game that we heard Tommy talk about in the intro there. It's going to be the Bills and the Patriots, the rubber match, if you will. Going to be in Buffalo and Western New York. And I like the under in this game. It's at 44 as we sit here. And here's the takeaway for me. We know that the last time they met in Buffalo, Mac Jones, my guy, attempted 3 passes, completed 2 of them, and they ran the ball for 222 yards. That was the takeaway. In the rematch, we saw Josh Allen absolutely go off. And wisely, Sean McDermott leaned more on the running game there. But the big thing for me is the game's an 8:15 kickoff. And at 8:15, it's expected to be 7 degrees, real field -5. Wind's going to be 8 miles an hour to the northeast if you're curious about the details there. Here's the thing. Historically, in games below 32, below freezing, and even in the 10 or below range, the average point total is 43. So this is pretty close to the number. That's why Vegas is good at what it does. But I think it's going to be a big lean on the running game on both sides. We know that's what the Patriots are going to be asked to do. And I think that Sean McDermott learned his lesson from that first matchup. Less about Josh Allen throwing the ball 50 times. Allen might have 2 rushing TDs, but they will lean on Devin Singletary and Zach Moss to help eat up clock and to make sure they have a chance to win that football game. I'm going under, though.
I'm going over in this game, a little head-to-head matchup. I want to wait, though, and let it creep down because I think, I'm taking the over now for the show at 44, but I'm not going to bet it until it gets closer to kickoff. I think you'll get a better number. These bad weather, potential snow, tons of wind, just start seeing the stadium shots. People are going to bet the under. The squares are all going to be on the under. And I think you'll see the number tick down a couple of points. I do like it to go over. I think you'll see more scoring than we expect from a Bills and Patriots game. Mac Jones, I think he'll step up big in his first playoff game. And Josh Allen has shown an ability to play really well in these big spots. So I think we'll see more than we expect from these offenses, some explosive running plays. Both teams have given up a lot of those big rushing yardage plays. And so I like the over in that spot. By the way, just on the Steelers, I was leaning Kansas City, and then I heard Big Ben come out and say, basically, we're 20-point underdogs. We're just going to go in there. We know we're going to lose. We don't care. We're moving on. I smell a Steelers upset, bro.
Ooh. I don't smell a Steelers upset. Right now I smell a clean.
That could
studio.
be dinner down in the kitchen.
That might be. I smell a clean studio, and I smell a 20-point win for for the Chiefs. Please put the Steelers. Never mind. Let's move on. Let's get your top NFC wager for Super Wild Card Weekend. I'd like to call it Wacky Wild Card Week because we got Nickelodeon, the slime. Like, leave the Super for the Super Bowl. But that's neither here nor there. Bucks are 8.5-point favorites against the Eagles, while the Cowboys are 3-point favorites against the 49ers. Rams 4-point favorites against the Cardinals. So you got your NFC slate. Will, what stands out to you?
Better be careful. You start knocking Super Wild Card Weekend on a network.
Super Bowl. I will leave it for Super Bowl. Give me Wacky Wild Card Weekend. Nickelodeon, slime. Give me all that. Just trying to give you a little different,
my house and
little
started
alternative.
tasing me during the podcast because I wouldn't say super. You better fall in line, Akeem. They'll come up and they'll show up. The big boss man will come. I like the 49ers in this spot. They're catching 3 points at the Cowboys, of course. That is the slime game. Mike McCarthy. Oh, man. Jimmy Garoppolo. It's all things you can smell from far away. Jimmy Garoppolo is MVP when he wins the Slime Award for Nickelodeon Valuable Player. I think the 49ers are going to beat the Cowboys outright. I will be taking the 49ers. I've actually already taken the 49ers on the money line. Look at that. Win percentages on the road, including playoffs. Number 2 for Jimmy G. Behind only Patrick Mahomes, ahead of Joe Montana. Not too shabby. Jimmy G's been playing really well. The run game is cooking for the 49ers. Deebo Samuel is just the most entertaining player in football. George Kittle's healthy. They need to get Trent Williams back in this spot. But I don't think Dallas, the problem with Dallas is they're better against the pass defensively than they are against the run. And if you can run the football on them, which the 49ers should be able to, it sets up explosive downfield play action passes. Now, as good as they've been against the pass and as good as Diggs has been in terms of the interceptions, he's still a liability in coverage if you can get him one-on-one and execute that play action down the field. I like the 49ers to win this game, and maybe we'll talk about it a little bit later, make a little bit of a run here.
A couple things here. Brinson, I thought you were crazy to take the Steelers, and Akeem got mad. He's a Browns fan, so I understand why he's upset. I'm on the Steelers bandwagon, too. Now I'm going to double down, see how angry we can make Akeem. Number 2, Brinson called me a square. I believe, Akeem and Jim, this guy right here, against the spread winner for all CBS Sports experts. Number 1.
Yes.
Held on for dear life the last 2 months, not a concern.
Take that, Will.
But that said, I'm going with take that, Brinson. Now I have to agree with Brinson. I'm going with San Francisco as well. I like San Francisco +3. I like them to win the game outright. Hey, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I work with Brinson 20 hours a week. It's Stockholm syndrome here. But he's right about a couple things. I think Mike McCarthy versus Kyle Shanahan, you're taking Kyle Shanahan. Here's what Jimmy G has to do. He has to remain just an average quarterback over the first 30 minutes. We've seen him in recent weeks get crazy, make terrible mistakes, put his team in a hole, and then they have to figure things out at halftime. They did that last week. And I think if they can just maintain some semblance of replacement-level quarterback, lean on the running game, make Deebo Samuel an integral part of what they do, and Brinson noted how good he has been, I think this game, it's not going to be a cakewalk. It'll be a close game for sure. But the more you can run the ball, and 49ers run the ball more than anyone, the more pressure it puts on Dak Prescott, who after that injury in Week 9 hasn't been great. Yeah, he dropped a couple 50-burgers against teams that didn't show up. Other than those games, though, it's hard to figure out which quarterback he is going to be. All that said, I like the 49ers to come to the Jerry Dome and not only cover but win that football game.
Yeah, and by the way, Nickelodeon, part of the family of networks for Viacom CBS. So clearly I'm a family guy, family network guy as well. So
he's getting back in line.
Look, even my little guy is a company guy, big Paw Patrol guy.
Oh, yeah. Who doesn't love Paw Patrol?
All right, let's dip into the not-too-distant future as we move past the Akeem Super Wild Card Weekend, past the divisional round as well. Through the conference championship round, we know it's the Bays. Green 1, Tampa 2 is the top 2 seeds. So which NFC team is the pick to win the conference title and get to the Super Bowl? We'll start with you, Will.
So, we didn't. I love having the odds up here because it doesn't. It helps to say, look, this is not only an aggressive pick, a pick that requires waivers, but a pick that also provides value. 12-1 to win the NFC for the 49ers. I love it. I understand that the Packers, Bucks, Rams, and Cowboys are all really good teams at the top of that conference. It wouldn't surprise me if any of them came out of there. I do think in the 49ers, though, you have a coach in Kyle Shanahan who has been to the Super Bowl. You have a quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo who has been to the Super Bowl. This is a team that is, playing with a little bit of house money in the sense that they're sort of flying under the radar. People aren't looking at them as one of the top teams in the conference. Everything has to click right for them. They have to get the right path. But If they beat the Cowboys, then they go to the Packers. And I understand Green Bay is very good. David Bakhtiari expected back. They're pretty healthy in that regards. But Kyle Shanahan has a really good record against his former assistants. And we've seen them dominate the Packers in the NFC Championship game before. And it's very possible that they come out of that game and then get to play the Rams, at which point in time that's another former assistant who they've beaten up on this year. So I like the 49ers not only to do it just outright, but the value there is very good to me at 12-1. I will take San Francisco to stay hot and make it to the Super Bowl the second time in the last, 4 or 5 years? 3 years?
Great value for sure, but Kyle Shanahan Super Bowl, loss. Jimmy Garoppolo Super Bowl, a loss. I'm going with my guy Aaron Rodgers, the most vindictive person on planet Earth, who will hold a grudge against anyone, your grandma, my grandma, people's grandmothers he doesn't even know, and he will use that as fuel and motivation to beat your brains out, and we've seen that week in and week out. And look, don't forget, back in the summer we were like, okay, is this guy even going to play football anymore? Not only did he play football, he played at such a high level, he is going to be the MVP again in back-to-back years. So I'm going with Aaron Rodgers. I also picked the Packers to win the Super Bowl back in August. I'm spoiling my pick in a few minutes here, but I'm going to stick with it. Going to ride this thing all the way through. There are very few concerns. The defense has been average, but again, there are no great defenses this year. Brinson just noted a lot of guys are coming back. Bakhtiari's coming back. Smith is coming back. Jair Alexander has a possibility to come back. So they will be a better football team than they've been over the last month. And over the last month, they've been the best football team on the planet. So plus 170 isn't as good a value as the 49ers, obviously, but I think there's a much better possibility that the Packers do, in fact, get all the way to the Super Bowl.
All right, now let's get your pick to win the AFC Championship. Chiefs have won the conference the last 2 seasons, perhaps a changing of the guard. Will, who's your pick to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl?
Well, I took the Bills before the season, and I thought about taking the Bills again. But I got to tell you, the stars are aligning. I don't know if you guys know this, but back in, I think it was January 13th, 1991, the Oakland Raiders, I believe it was the Oakland Raiders in 1991, I could be wrong, defeated the Bengals in the playoffs. A 9-year-old, turned 9 years old that day, John Breach, was devastated by this playoff loss of his favorite team. The Bengals have not won a playoff game since. We're talking 30-plus years of torment. Tomorrow is John Breach's 40th birthday, and he's preparing for the Raiders to come back to Cincinnati and to play the Bengals. There's no Andy Dalton. It's just Joe Burrow, who had 950 passing yards, 12 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions in his 2 college football playoff games. This guy just wins in big moments. He lives for these big games, and I'm apparently have been kidnapped by the Breach family, and I'm picking the Bengals to win the AFC. That's right, 49ers Bengals. I sense it's a lot of redemption for long cursed teams. We saw Georgia win the championship in college football. It's been happening for the last few years. I think the Breaches are due for a little redemption. Cincinnati 49ers Super Bowl.
Is this a tell me something's wrong without telling me something's wrong?
Yes. I'm being held hostage right now.
I don't hate the Bengals. I actually am on board with that to some degree. And a fun fact that, Brinson talked about the 9-year-old John Breach. He had a mustache when he was 9 years old, and he has not grown since. So also 2 things to keep in mind about why Breach deserves some good luck to come his way. Maybe this is the year. That said, I'm going with the Buffalo Bills. The other team I picked to go to the Super Bowl back in August, I love what Josh Allen has been able to do. He is very much in the MVP conversation. He had a slow patch there in the middle of the season. He has certainly rebounded, and now that the team understands that he can do everything while also leaning on the running game, it's much to his benefit, and we've seen glimpses of that in recent weeks. I think he's going to take things over. We were concerned last year during the regular season, at what point does Josh Allen revert back to the 2019 Josh Allen who makes a boneheaded play or two and costs him a football game? We didn't see it until the very last game, and I think he's going to continue to get better, continue to be one of the best players in the league, and I think that's going to carry them through the AFC. We talk about the Chiefs all the time, but the Chiefs have not been the Chiefs that we're used to seeing at any point this season. Of course, unless they're playing the Steelers, and maybe that'll change our opinions next weekend. But I think the reality is, from one game to the next, 1 month to the next, I think the Bills have been the best football team in the AFC, and they're going to get out of it and make their way to the Super Bowl.
All right, so we go ahead.
I was going to say, if you don't mind, I was just going to add one thing that I should have included in my analysis instead of talking about how old John Breach is. The Bengals do get the Raiders in Super Wild Card weekend, right? And if all the chalk holds and the Bengals win, the Chiefs win, and the Bills win, The Bengals have this, actually, no matter whether it's chalk holds or not, the Bengals only have to play one of the Bills or the Chiefs. That's a huge advantage. They would go to Tennessee if they win. If not, they would go ahead and get that matchup against the Bills or the Chiefs out of the way, but only have to play one of those two top teams that we consider scary in the AFC.
Yeah, and then there's the return of Derrick Henry, right, Akeem? He kind of changed things for Tennessee a little bit, right? Conference picks, we got those in the books. What about the last team standing? Who wins the Super Bowl? Ryan, I have a sense I know what the answer is going to be, but you're first up.
Yeah, I was so eager to brag on Aaron Rodgers. I gave away the secret a few minutes ago. But, yeah, I'm going with the Packers. We don't know where Aaron Rodgers is going to be after the season. I feel like if they don't win the Super Bowl, there's probably a better chance he comes back to Green Bay just to prove people wrong, because that's what he does. I do wonder what happens, though, if the Packers win the Super Bowl. If he feels like, hey, let's go to Denver and see if he can win one in the AFC, or if he goes somewhere else and tries to make his mark there and see how good Matt LaFleur can be without him. That said, for now, all I'm worried about is Aaron Rodgers getting his team to the Super Bowl. I mentioned all the guys that have come back healthy, and I think he does it again. And by the way, he could also retire. What a great way to end your career, Peyton Manning style. He has won Super Bowl. He beat the Steelers back in 2010, finished it up 12 years later, and then moonwalk off into the sunset and do that Jeopardy thing. So, yeah, I'm going with the Packers to win, as Hakeem calls it, the Wacky Bowl.
Well, I've got an unfortunate surprise for my kidnappers here. So the Bengals get to the Super Bowl and play the 49ers, but just like in your childhood, John Breach, you get your heart ripped out by the team from the Bay Area. That's right, there was the catch, and now there's going to be something else. I don't know, maybe the run from Deebo Samuel, something like that. I think the 49ers-Bengals game would be a fantastic matchup, a close matchup, but the 49ers got them once in the regular season. I think they will get them again in the Super Bowl. 49ers take home the trophy. Jimmy Garoppolo. Now you got to answer questions, Kyle Shanahan. What do you do with your quarterback now that Jimmy G is a Super Bowl champion and going to Disney World? Give me the 49ers to win it all.
You know, I'm going to point out something. Deebo Samuel was on this show. He was on CBS Sports HQ. I asked him for his bold statement. He said we're going to win the Super Bowl. So there you go. Deebo Samuel, of course, he's going to pick his own team to win the Super Bowl. I'm just saying, well, you didn't know that, and now you know.
I did not.
So there you go. Deebo, friend of the program.
Step.
Will Brinson, a friend of the program.
No
Ryan Wilson, friend of the program. Thank you. All right, here's a look back at their picks. All right, here's a look back at Will Brinson and Ryan Wilson's selections for Wild Card Weekend. On opposite sides here, the total between New England and Buffalo. Will says over 44. Ryan says under 44. They're in agreement on San Francisco getting 3 against the Cowboys. Pick to win the NFC, San Francisco is Will's pick. Ryan likes Green Bay. Pick to win the AFC, Will likes Cincinnati. Ryan likes Buffalo. And their pick to win the Super Bowl, Will Brinson with some major value with the 49ers at plus 2,500. Ryan going with the favorites, the Green Bay Packers at plus 380. And for all things NFL, check out the Pick Six podcast. Join host Will Brinson and his super friends Ryan Wilson and John Breach, delivering your daily fix of NFL news and analysis. Get you up to speed so you're always in the know. The Pick Six podcast. Download and subscribe today.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.